The Jazz obviously are without Spida. They're without Donovan Mitchell, who's their guy. And if you know anything about our show and what we've talked about with the Jazz, you know that we're big believers that Spida's the straw that stirs the drink in Utah. And I think without him, there was a lot of questions about the availability of scoring and buckets on this team without Donovan on the floor. Well, I think a lot of those fears have been answered over the last couple of games, and I don't care who it is. What we saw last night was Mike Conley up and down the floor dominating. What we saw last night was Joe Ingles in the corner dropping threes. We saw Jordan Clarkson dropping threes. Rudy Gobert running the floor, finishing in the paint, awkwardly taking an alley-oop and almost getting rejected by the rim. We saw the Utah Jazz, Jake, be the Utah Jazz, and I think that was a really important feeling for this team without Donovan Mitchell.
Yeah, I think they've done an excellent job and with adapting to not having him on the floor, and I think that's a credit to Quinn and the coaching staff. I look at the way this team was playing basketball before the Donovan Mitchell ankle roll injury, and what we saw a lot of, frankly, is Donovan dominating the ball and playing pick and roll with Rudy Gobert. And then if he got caught, he'd kick it out, and then they would take contested threes. And I think, part of the struggle that the Jazz went through earlier in the season when they did, I believe they lost like 4 in a row or whatever that was, that losing streak that they had. I think a lot of those issues just simply were born out of the fact that they were not moving the ball as quickly as they were earlier in the year, and that prevented them from getting the looks that they wanted to get. Now, were they missing wide open looks still? Yes, absolutely. They weren't shooting the ball to the best of their ability, but I think what's so great about what they're doing right now is not that they dominated the Rockets, right? Like, everybody expected them to win. It's not really surprising. That's what they should have done. But I'm talking about the game within the game. Watching the Jazz execute on offense, moving the ball, running the floor, basically just doing what they're supposed to be doing at the highest level. I was really pleased to see that last night. I was really pleased to see that this team did not play down to the Rockets. I felt like after the first quarter, the Jazz were pretty much in control for the rest of the game. And the second half was not really in question. So, yeah, I agree. This was an important win. If you're the Jazz, from the perspective of we got to make sure that we keep it going while Mitchell's out. And I still maintain, and I've been asking this question the whole week, what are they going to do once Mitchell comes back? Because I don't think Don is a guy he's not like Kyrie where he constantly has to have the ball in his hands to make a difference. But at the same time, when he does get the ball, and he does get it a lot, he tends to play the two-man game. So I think it'll be really interesting to see this transition when he comes back, how Quinn Snyder works him and that offense to continue to get those really nice looks for guys like you were just saying, Joe Ingles in the corner, Bogdanovich in the corner, George Niang in the corner, any of these guys that shoot for this team. That's what I'm curious about moving forward.
Yeah, and I think that I wouldn't be curious about that. I think that's what this team is going to be. I mean, you really only have a couple of games on this schedule. Whether that be, I would put Sacramento in there, but I think Minnesota is going to be a difficult matchup. But really, if you look at Denver and Phoenix, those are the two games where you really think to yourself, hey, can this Utah Jazz team beat the Denver Nuggets and the Phoenix Suns without Donovan Mitchell? That's a big question. Now, do we ever get there? I don't know. The Nuggets game's pretty late. If this truly is just a sprain for Donovan, and there's no reason to think it's not, there's no structural damage, as Woj reported. Woj. You would think that this would be a Jazz team that's in pretty good shape. But I'll also say this. I saw something out of the Clippers last night that I haven't seen in a very long time, and that is a dominant team that I felt like is the best team in the Western Conference right now without Kawhi Leonard, who you may or may not know is out of the lineup for the Clippers with this bum foot. But Paul George is being an alpha male. And I think if you look at that performance, I think you look at a first half out of Devin Booker last night that was far subpar, did not shoot well, dominated the last 10 minutes of this game, which all killers do. But you got a big win for the Suns. So then I look at all of this and I say, this is exactly why The Jazz needed the kind of game they got last night, and maybe the Houston Rockets were exactly the huckleberry they were looking for. But, Jake, when you look at what happened around the Western Conference last night, I think this was even more of an important win for the Jazz.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I think I think there's been a lot of talk about the fact that the Clippers are really hitting their stride and starting to come together. You know, everybody always thinks Clippers, and then they think about the word chemistry. And I think that the Clippers, it's so funny what happens to a guy like Paul George when, you know, he gets more of the ball, you know, when they lean on him more to score, because they don't play a brand of basketball that's really anything near what the Jazz do. So for the Clippers, Paul George getting the looks, getting the reps in the game, you know, filling it up for them, that's what they need him to do. He has been mid-30s every night and close to 10 boards for like the last like 10 games. He's been tearing it up. And so when I look at, again, I feel like we always get to this on the show when we talk Jazz right now with where we are in the season. When I project forward and I look at, hey, you know, what's the postseason look like? Who would the Jazz ideally want to see after they, you know, beat the hell out of the 8th seed? I don't want this team to see the Clippers. I don't. I think that would be. I don't think the Jazz would get blown out. I just think it would be a very, very difficult matchup if the Clippers are playing this well.
Yeah, and I think the Clippers will be playing this well. I think, and maybe this is what Paul George needed. You know, maybe Paul knowing that Kawhi Leonard isn't waiting in the wings. Like, he's injured. He's not coming back for a couple of weeks here. He's not even going to be evaluated for another week. I mean, this is Paul George's club right now. And so my feeling is that puts Paul George in a different state of mind, and it puts him in that alpha dog state of mind that allows him to dominate. It allows him to play. And I know we have crushed Paul George on this show.
Yep.
The Indiana Pacer Paul George is the guy that I've seen the last 2 games. And last night, I just feel like this Clipper team now is playing its best basketball. By the way, Anthony Davis back tonight for the Lakers. This is another big moment in Dallas. AD back. LeBron's not. He's too busy firing off lying, hypocritical tweets. But anyway, here nor there. The point is, AD is back tonight for the Lakers, who I think have gotten really solid performances, not wins, but they've gotten solid performances out of their bench guys, who I think are all improving. I think if Anthony Davis comes back and he has no residual effects from this Achilles/calf injury he's been rehabbing,
yeah,
I think this is a much better team with AD and Anthony or Andre Drummond on the floor together.
Yeah, I just think that, you know, it's so funny. The Lakers have. It almost feels like the Lakers this year they were given a task, which is, hey, you got to survive 40 games without AD and LeBron, right? Mostly AD, but obviously LeBron too. And we're through that time. We're through that time in their season where they don't have their best players. And I think that they are uniquely positioned to be in the mindset of, hey, we understand we're not the 1 seed. We're not going to care about what seed we are. What we're going to do is we're going to focus on getting our team to 100%, and then we're going to count on the fact that Anthony Davis, LeBron James, and the rest of those guys can go out and beat anybody who's put in front of them, because, frankly, they did that last year, you know? And, yes, teams have gotten better. You know, obviously the league gets better every year. But at the same time, Anthony Davis is still the same unstoppable player that he was last year.
Is he, though?
Yeah, I think
this is a huge question. What is that injury? Because we saw this with Kevin Durant. Oh, it's not his Achilles, it's his calf. And what happened? Mm-hmm. He got hit by a sniper in the finals and everything fell apart. My point is, I don't think we know who Anthony Davis is. I say the same thing about Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant is coming back off of a significant injury, and what happened? He can't stay healthy in his legs, because rehabbing Achilles/calf injuries is devastating to your legs, your knees, your quads, your hamstrings. All things that guys like Kobe Bryant found out the hard way take a toll on your body. Kevin Durant is now finding out the hard way takes a toll on your body. DeMarcus Cousins, not the same guy he was, not because of the Achilles injury, but you compound an Achilles into a knee injury, and what happens?
Yep.
Now you're not the same guy anymore. Klay Thompson.
Yep.
I'm asking the same question about Klay, who had a knee now into an Achilles.
But I think the difference for Klay is that Klay doesn't need the explosion to be effective. He doesn't need that. All he does is
he does
jump.
need
That's
lift,
it.
though.
That's it. Well, maybe.
He's not dunking on dudes. I would agree with that. I would agree
he's not
with that.
playing the way Kevin Durant plays or DeMarcus plays. I mean, he is a shooter, and that's why I say I don't think that the knee thing I'm not worried about. I think the ACL injury in sports in today's world is so commonplace now. The medicine has progressed so far along. The rehab has progressed so far along that I don't really worry about Clay in that aspect. What I worry about is just, okay, you suffered this injury. Okay, did that take how many years off that season, off of your career did that take? So did it take 3 years off your career? Can you be the same guy for the next 5 years and you and Curry can ride off into the sunset and basically retire at the same time? What does that look like? That's the only question that I have for Clay. I think he will be fine.
Hoop Strong says, I want Mitchell to fully heal before he comes back. He should also see our passing game, meanwhile, which has improved without him on the floor.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah, that was true. Jake's point yesterday.
And I think that the question really is, in terms of Donovan's injury, is what are you willing to sacrifice to ensure that he comes back 100%? Because right now, it's not like you have a 5-game lead in the West. I'm not saying that your lead is in jeopardy. I'm not saying that, right? You have just enough pad where if you just take care of business, you're fine.
Well, but the thing that I think stands out to you is that the Phoenix Suns aren't going anywhere.
They're not.
The Clippers are getting much better.
That's a hell of a win last night for the Phoenix Suns, man.
Ishmael Beck Nielsen says, hey, guys, been watching and subscribing since you started 3-4 weeks ago. Sad thing is I live in Denmark and GMT +2 time zone, but finally caught a live from you guys. Well, I'm glad you're here.
Appreciate that, man. Really appreciate that. Thank you.
I love your content, honest take on the Jazz. I've been a Jazz fan since 2014. I believe I am the only one from Denmark cheering for the Jazz.
Let's go.
Yes. Hoop Strong says, love from India. Look at the international
crowd
I love
this
morning.
Man.
You're the most realistic Jazz fans ever who wouldn't sugarcoat anything. Accountability, LOL.
Yeah.
Forgotten Soul says, Kawhi is out. What is the actual hell is going on with the league? Come on, basketball gods. Everyone is getting injured. Well, I'm telling you, this is because of the short offseason.
And this is what the players were complaining about. When everybody criticized the players, this is what they're complaining about. And I think that, just take LeBron. Like, we're going to talk about him in a different light here in a minute. But just look at his career overall. He's been a remarkably reliable player. I mean, has not had a major injury, has not had the Achilles done for the year injury in his career. And frankly, I don't think that would have happened this year had someone not fallen on his damn leg. So, I think that this year is a couple of things. I think this year, yes, it is exemplifying the fact that the shorter offseason combined with the condensed schedule really affects injury rate in the NBA. But I also think that it should make us appreciate guys like LeBron, the basketball player, for the fact that they are incredibly reliable. And I'm telling you, the non-contact injury, the Jamal Murray, the Kevin Durant injury, that doesn't happen to LeBron James. And I think we need to appreciate that fact.
Yeah. Totally agree with that. Good morning to our guy, Lopes fan Gabe. Says, my dude, Lopes baseball all the way up.
Yeah, dude.
Hey, really since the Pepperdine loss?
Yeah.
That series loss to Pepperdine, this has been a different team. They dominated New Mexico State. I think they just split with Arizona State. Oh, my goodness. By the way, did anybody notice there was a little bit of a transfer in ASU basketball to GCU? Anybody? I like cherries. Anyway, the point is, if you're in Phoenix, really, if you're in this country, you're in this world, and you don't know about Grand Canyon baseball, you really should. GCU baseball, GCU basketball, obviously. I'm telling you, Gabe's been on this train for a long time, and we've been telling you since the now departed Dan Marley was on our show in Phoenix. I can't just say former GCU basketball coach Dan Marley, who only called the show when they would win and never when they would lose. And he
we're not available now.
Yeah,
please leave your name and phone number after the beep.
Coach, it's time. It's time for the Dan Marley show. You got blown out by 30 last night. Are you going to come on the show?
No, I guess not.
No, I'm not. No. So they fired him for it because they don't want to upset Monty. Anyway, the point is, GCU baseball all day. I agree with that. Forgotten Soul says LeBron never gets injured.
Yeah.
And he says, I don't watch baseball. Well, okay. Well, I'm telling you, the shortened schedule is a lot of the reason you're seeing guys getting hurt.
Yeah.
And I think it's a lot of the reason that you're seeing What is Denver with a fully healthy Jamal Murray? Well, we don't know because he was in the bubble and played grueling playoff series last year. And now there's pictures of him coming out yesterday after his ACL torn surgery repair thing happened.
Dude.
He's look at all the major injuries that happened this year. It's attrition. The Lakers, LeBron and AD, it was only a matter of time until those guys got injured because they've played so many games.
And this is an Olympic year.
Yeah, exactly right. And you can put millions of dollars into your body. At some point, you're going to figure out, it doesn't matter what you spend, Father Time is undefeated.
Yeah.
And you can eat well, you can work out hard like LeBron. Nobody takes better care of their body than LeBron.
Yeah.
And he's going to be out now with this high ankle sprain. It just is a product of the pandemic.
That said, what happens when, let's just assume that, the return of Anthony Davis goes fine, they ramp him up, everything's cool, okay, cool, he's healthy again, we ain't got to worry about it anymore. He comes back, LeBron comes back, what happens if they win the title this year, even though they had the injuries? I think that'd be really saying something.
That would be saying something. And Terrence says, Monty, are you not going to sit here and quote-unquote slurp book? Okay, more slurping references. Thank you. Appreciate that. No, actually, I'm not. Thibault took him down last night. Okay.
I love this, dude.
Can we address this once and for all, please? Can we address this once and for all? Thibault, I like Jody Ayler, Fox Sports 910 Phoenix. But he's talking about how Thibault is the Booker killer. No, he's not. It was one game. Booker had a tough shooting half, right? Booker finished the game last night, and I need to pull up the box.
It was like 19-3.
19 points, 3 rebounds, 7 assists. 0 of 3 from 3, 6 of 14 from the floor. Where was Thibault in the last 10 minutes of the game when Book was dominating? Oh, that's right. When Booker is Booker, nobody's going to lock him down. It's Kobe, it's Jordan, it's LeBron, it's all the best scorers in basketball. I don't care who you put in front of them. They're going to score.
Allen Iverson.
They're going to score. Nobody's locking down Devin Booker. That win last night, 116-113 Phoenix over Philly, was as statement game as you're going to get at this time of the year. I mean, to dominate the way that Booker dominated the last 10 minutes of that game, please don't run this garbage about Thibault.
Yeah.
He's a nice young player. He didn't score a single point in the game. Booker hit 5, 6, 7 critical shots, or was part of 5, 6, 7 critical shots down the stretch last night. Dime piece, that fadeaway jumper off the baseline.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
Oh, come on.
Beautiful.
Like, Thibault didn't lock him down. That drives me crazy. And yes, I'm a Booker apologist. That's my favorite player. That's my guy. Thank you. I'm perspiring talking about it. Anyway, tell me who's got a better fade in the NBA than Book? I mean his hair, not his jumper. The point is, listen to me. Devin Booker's a superstar, and I know that you and I will disagree on this. Jake said to me this morning, oh, well, if you don't score for the first 86 minutes of the game, how can you be a star? Kevin Durant scores. It's like, dude, do you not remember the finals or the Western Conference Finals against Houston? Everybody talked about how James Harden was like 0 for 49 from 3. Mm-hmm. I think it was actually 0 for like 27.
It was.
Kevin Durant wasn't exactly lighting it up in that series.
Yeah, whatever, man.
Every scorer goes through it.
I'm just telling you, Book goes through it too
Kevin
much.
Durant.
Book goes through it too much.
I mean, if you look at Kevin Durant,
it's Philly on the road. I want 30. Simple as that.
He's
30
KD.
points.
I mean, he's.
By the way,
KD
rolled out and gave you 20-25 in like 20 minutes.
He's the Slim Reaper.
Just saying, yeah.
Unbelievable.
I'll slurp the guy the entire way.
Tastes like vanilla.
Yeah. Yeah.
You are what you are.
Yeah, I am.
I love him.
I do.
Put a ring on it.
Except when he's DMing with Michael Rappaport.
Oh, my God. Forgotten Soul says, and apparently Trae Young got injured last night. Oh, dude. That's
just saying. What did I say yesterday? Did I not bring up Trae Young as a guy who is not getting the job done? And then he gets hurt. That's what happened.
A nasty ankle.
That's what happened
last night. Yeah, I don't know. Hoop Strong says, TBH, as a Jazz fan.
To be honest,
as a Jazz, thank you.
Yep.
Slim Reaper.
Yep.
As a Jazz fan, I was not confident against Denver after the trade deadline. It is sad, but Jamal's injury changed all that. Jokic can't beat us alone. Well, I would agree with. And
the problem,
again,
though,
I'm telling you, Aaron Gordon's hurt.
Yeah, he may be hurt. Yeah. Here's the thing, though. What you guys are so here's what's happening. You guys are saying, "Hey, well, now that Jamal Murray's hurt, the Jazz are gonna handle the Nuggets." And I'm telling you that while the Jamal Murray injury is a huge deal and absolutely changes things, I'm telling you nobody handles the Nuggets. That's not how it works with the Nuggets. And I think that I think that I look at Michael Porter Jr., I look at Will Barton, obviously Jokic. I would hope that by playoff time, Aaron Gordon is whatever is going on with him gets figured out, because I do agree he's not 100% right now. I don't know what he's dealing with. They haven't really said. So if those four guys are at 100%, I'm telling you this is not a, hey, Jazz in 5 kind of series. That's not what that is.
No, I would agree with that. And I think, just looking at a lot of these matchups, the Jazz are going to have to fight for their lives no matter who they play. I think the first round they're fine, but I think if you get into the second round pick your poison. If it's, let's say it's the Lakers, the Clippers,
you want to see
Nuggets,
Portland in the second
Suns.
round. You want to see Portland in the second round. That's what you want to see.
Yeah, I think the Lakers handle Portland fine.
Yeah,
I do. I think you don't want to see the Suns. I think you don't want to see certainly you don't want to see the Clippers.
No.
There's once you win the first round, there's no easy out. From here on out, there's no easy path to victory. And I just think when you're playing at that level, I think it is, it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see what happens and how we deal with the second round matchups are going to determine the NBA championship.
What is a successful playoff run for the Jazz this year?
They have to win a championship. I think it's
so Western Conference Final.
Not enough.
Win is not enough.
Not enough. They've been the best team in the NBA all season long.
Mm-hmm.
If you then go to the second round and lose, I mean, I don't know.
What does that say about the roster then? Let's say that happens. I mean, what do you?
Well, I will maintain, and I'll say the same thing that I've been saying all year long. You have to find a number 2 scorer.
Yeah.
You have to ask yourself, what would this team be like if Brad Beal were here? What would this team be like if they had made the Aaron Gordon trade? What would this team be like if you had somebody that wasn't Mike Conley that you could count on to be healthy most of the time?
Yeah.
That can really take the load off of Donovan Mitchell.
Yeah.
You have to upgrade Bojan Bogdanovic. I mean, with all due respect to Bogey, he's played better. This is not a guy that you're going to count on in crunch time because he's still hesitating to shoot threes consistently.
Right.
He doesn't believe that ball's going in when he shoots it. That's what this roster looks like. I don't know when, and I know I'm going to probably get crushed for this. At some point, Rudy Gobert, during this contract, and my guess is it's in the next year or two, he's not going to be a Utah Jazz man anymore.
Yeah.
They're going to move Rudy Gobert. The contract is unsustainable because he's a center who can do one thing, and that is dunk on offense. That's all he's got. And he does it well.
Yep.
He does it well, and I know that he's worked on athleticism, and they've really focused on him getting flexible from the waist down so that he can run, he can stride, he can explode better, and you're seeing the fruits of that labor. He has 0 jump shot. Not a little bit, not a 2-footer, 0 jump shot.
And I would say his block game is non-existent either. He's got very little game on the block.
Brandon Whiteside says, where was Booker in any playoffs? Oh, yeah, he was home calling for Paul's help. Absolutely, I have no defense for that. Devin Booker has not been the alpha dog to take the Suns to the playoffs.
This is the year. This is the year. I mean, this is the year where I think, from a career standpoint, I mean, not even. I think whether you love Book or you hate Book, you can't get around the fact that this year is about him defining who he's going to be as an NBA player. I mean, he's coming into his physical prime now. He's not a young player anymore. He's been in the league long enough now, and it's time to get moving. And I think that, to in all fairness to Book, he hasn't had a team that can go to the playoff until this year. So,
Austin Parkins subscribes to us on YouTube. Appreciate you, Austin. Thanks so much. Mike subscribes on YouTube as well and says, thanks for the great basketball talk. I can't wait to hear you burn LeBron to the ground. Okay.
Yeah, that's coming.
I would go easy with that, but real quick, I wanna get to some of your comments because a lot of you are here on the Jazz. Ishmael says, "Yeah, I still think the Nuggets has a big chance against us and anyone. We, the Jazz, need to show it in the playoffs, at least a conference finals, but also would want them to and semi-expect them to win the finals for it to be a successful playoff run." Ding.
Yeah.
I think if that's not your expectation, what are you looking at?
Well, and that's what I'm curious about. I mean, I agree. I mean, I think winning the NBA Finals should be your goal for this team, but I'm curious, like, I love to hear and take the pulse of Jazz fans and what they think, because sometimes they agree with us and sometimes they don't. Like, I honestly, like, no disrespect to Jazz fans, but I wouldn't be surprised if you sat here in the comments and said that, yeah, winning the West would be good enough for us, because we haven't, again, no shade, but you haven't done anything recently, you know?
Tyler says, Monty, you're from Chicago, and you're going to sit here and talk about bad basketball teams or that the Jazz should win the championship. Who's the hypocrite now? How am I being a hypocrite?
What does it have anything to do with the Bulls, dude? Like,
what are you talking about?
See, that, you know what that is? You know what that is? That's hot take guy.
Yeah.
Hot take guys in the comments.
Do you watch games? Do you watch games? Do you watch anybody but Slim Reaper?
You think you know it all.
Yeah, you think you know it all, right? Mm-hmm. Come on. I have no shame when it comes to the Chicago Bulls.
Jerry Reinsdorf is definitely one of the worst owners in Major League Baseball and in the NBA.
Yeah, I think it's terrible. Connor says, finally, you guys are on topic. Talk Jazz every day or I'm not coming back. Well,
then you ain't coming back, because we're not talking Jazz every single day for the rest of our existence.
And somebody asked about, we're based in Forgotten Souls, I think it was, said, if you're Phoenix residents, how come you watch the Jazz? Well, first of all, we're Salt Lake City residents. We live in South Jordan, Utah. We used to live in Phoenix. Mm-hmm. We have our fan base, for those of you who don't know, our fan base essentially is Chicago, LA, Phoenix, Utah. And we have a ton of Jazz fans that watch this channel.
And by the way, before Phoenix, we lived in Utah. So it's not like we just moved here.
Yeah, absolutely right. No, I can't. Okay. Jim, I cannot read your sexually charged tweet about Devin Booker.
Just take it nice and easy, okay? Just relax.
And my guess is that's going to get flagged at some point. Danny says, I really appreciate that you guys are so honest about the Suns. It is disappointing that Devin Booker can't get it done in the clutch. He got locked last night.
See, I don't agree that he got locked. Everybody keeps saying this. He hit big shots at the end of the game. My issue is not this whole Thibault narrative about how Thibault locked him up and all this trash. Devin Booker, the simple truth of it is, Devin Booker didn't get it done last night from the perspective of he gave you 19 points. That is not good enough by anybody's standards. That should have been a 30-point-a-night game right there. But what I do disagree on with these comments, and we just talked about it, so sorry if this is repetitive. Dude, he hit big shot after big shot after big shot towards the end of the game. And I can't for the life of me understand why people keep saying, oh, well, Thibault locked him up. Great, you did it in the third quarter. How about all the shots that Devin Booker made to just absolutely dagger the Sixers time and time again, dude? Like,
to seal the win.
It's amazing to me. And why? What I also love is the fact that everyone wants to sit here this morning and criticize Devin Booker. Why are we not criticizing Chris Paul for missing that free throw? If he makes the free throw, Joel Embiid doesn't have an opportunity to throw a Hail Mary and double rim it out.
Bro, how did that ball not go in?
I don't know. I don't know.
Oh my God. Joel Embiid's a freak of the world. I'm telling you. And by the way, it seems like every day we have a new MVP candidate on this show. I still maintain Nikola Jokic should be the NBA MVP. Steph is number 2, but I don't know how Embiid's not a strong contender for that.
Because he's hurt. He's hurt constantly.
Too much, yeah.
That's why.
I would agree with that. Ian says Book's shots at the end felt bigger because of how much he struggled the whole game. Oh, I agree with that.
And that's my biggest thing. I don't like Book as much as you like Book, but there's no doubt that the guy is a big shot maker, and he needs to when I say that Devin Booker needs to kind of like go to the next level, I don't just mean winning playoff games. What I mean is that if you want to be a superstar in this league, you want to be considered a superstar in this league, I'm talking about every single night, you got to be putting up at least 25 and at least 8 rebounds. That is the absolute minimum.
You have to be the reason your team wins.
You have to
and
be.
if they lose, Kyrie last night.
Yeah.
Nets lose, Kyrie has a monster game. I get that. Hoop Strong says I definitely prefer Booker over Mitchell taking the last shot.
100%. 100%.
I agree with that.
There's no doubt about it.
Yeah. I don't know how to pronounce this name, so if I crush this name, I love you. Thank you for being here. I apologize in advance. Massagy Swiderski.
Who the fuck are you?
Bro, I don't know how to pronounce your name.
Who the fuck is that guy?
He's a Knicks fan. He says,
Here comes the patented Julius Randle take.
what do you think about New York lately? Jokic for MVP. I agree with that. Who the fuck is that guy?
Who the fuck is that guy?
Anyway, I think the Knicks are playing as well as they've played in a decade.
Yeah.
And I think Tom Thibodeau, Tim Tebow is coaching.
Who the fuck are you?
Tim Tebow is coaching the Knicks.
Tebow!
Tom Thibodeau deserves a lot of credit because this is a guy that's taken a lot of heat, but I think he's turned the Knicks around. And I obviously, as somewhat of a Laker apologist, I wish Julius Randle was still on the Lakers, but I think he's gone to New York and he's blossomed. I mean, this is a guy that's lost a ton of weight. He has taken his offseason seriously. He's working with Chris Brickley, the world-renowned basketball skills coach, and it's shown. He's hitting threes, he's dunking on bros, and he's making everyone around him better. And I think when you look at the Knicks, Jake, I think they're a real contender to win a playoff series in the East now.
Yeah, and I think that if they can win a playoff series in the East, that would be great for the league. I think that, the Knicks are one of those, franchises that, you don't have to love them. You can hate them, but the greatness is that they're in New York. That is obviously one of the biggest markets we have in this country, and it's great for the league when the Knicks are good. Like it's been like there was a I don't remember when it was. It was a while ago. There was a conversation had on a national game in the NBA with the Knicks where they were talking about the fact that my generation and later don't know that the Knicks were like a good team at one point.
An iconic team. Like a foundational team.
It's the Knicks, bro. Like I have an appreciation, not as much as you do, but I just think that they've been bad for so long that having this team come together with, again, with Julius and all those guys, it's just really, really good for the brand of the NBA that they need to win a playoff series.
I think it's huge for the NBA. By the way, Tyler says, here's a shocker. Jake's hating on Donovan Mitchell again.
Yep.
Why don't you just admit it, Jake? You can't stand when the Jazz win.
It's not that I can't stand when the Jazz win. You know what I can't stand?
I can't stand Tyler.
I can't stand the Jazz fan, Tyler, who consistently says that the Jazz are like way better than they are, or is just overall unrealistic about what this team is. The fact is that this team has not proven anything.
Exactly.
They've done really well in the regular season, but if you get bounced in the second round, what am I going to hear from you now, Tyler? What are you going to say about Rudy? What are you going to say about Donovan? What do you have to say about the fact that they lost to the Suns, the Sixers, the Clippers? Like, this is a major concern that I have.
Mr. Swiderski says it's a Polish name, and I've been a Jazz fan since 1997. Sorry to tell you, I just put my license plates back on the Audi. I got my stickers yesterday.
Oh, let's go!
I got my sticker yesterday I just bought it.
By the way, it should be said really quick. I appreciate that guy. Do we know if he's subscribed or not, or if he's just commenting?
Who, Swiderski?
Yeah, the Polish guy.
Well, hey, if you're watching this show, please give us a thumbs up on YouTube and hit subscribe. We're trying to get to 400 and then 500.
I want it.
You can't get to 500 until you get to 400, which
math major over here.
You can't get to 1,000 until you get to. I'm just saying. But I appreciate you being here, Swiderski.